story about some St. Louis ghost hunters. And I say some, although they are the St. Louis ghost hunters. We've actually had people on the show before that actually do this, and they do this here. And there's a group here, 4 of the 5 of the St. Louis ghost hunters with us in the studio. And I didn't realize there'd be that much work. I mean, there's got to be like 40 or 50 of them here in St. Louis. All right.
There's a lot of groups, but a lot of them aren't very active. Most of them just go to cemeteries.
Oh, yeah, there's a guy who sells insurance that's, like on the weekends does this. And you guys have other jobs. I don't imagine this pays all that great.
I don't pay anything.
It doesn't pay anything.
You guys don't charge anything to go do this.
We are self-funded, but looking for sponsors.
Definitely.
Sponsors are good. And we have, let's see if I can get this, even after getting all of the information, Eric and Jen and Josh and Lindsay, right?
Yes.
How do you guys know each other?
Well, gosh, I think Eric and Jen and I found each other, I don't know, between 1.5 years and 2 years ago. We actually were working, a couple of us, with other groups at that time, and we just thought we could do it better, and so we did.
Yeah. Why do you do this? I mean, because if these things are really out there and they're really mean and they're really evil, I mean, aren't you afraid of, some spirit going, let's inhabit this guy now? And you really put yourself in harm's way if this stuff's...
Wow, if I really saw a possession, not that I don't believe in that, that would be like the ultimate of proof of what we're looking for.
It still doesn't answer why you put yourself in harm's way like this.
I don't know that we are putting ourselves in harm's way.
Yeah, well, I mean, you all
It's
look
possible.
at it. You don't look bruised or beaten or anything.
No.
I guess you're always giving the opportunity for something to latch on to us, but I think we all take steps to try to do our own little thing beforehand to protect ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's for the sake of research as well, just to actually find some evidence and proof of what we're looking for.
Who's the biggest skeptic in the group?
Eric.
I think me.
Eric.
Yeah.
And I just want to do it to help people.
What has been the closest thing to proof for you? There's something you heard or saw or whatever, you thought, okay.
A lot of the EVPs that we've collected, I think, are...
Which are...
Electronic voice phenomenon.
Right.
When you know you're not in the room and you know it's not a voice of any of us and you hear it, then it's something. I mean, what is it?
Right.
So it's got to, I mean, if you don't know what it is, then it's paranormal. I mean,
And you brought some of these in.
we did.
Right. I would say especially when it responds directly to a question that you've asked, like the clip that we have, that number 6. We were at a house in Overland, and I'm trying to remember the history on the house.
Well,
but
there was
Mr. Peterson.
Like he died in the house. He was a previous resident, and we're asking questions, doing EVP work, trying to get some answers, and I think it was me
This
that
is what we
said,
found.
are you Mr. Peterson? And then that's the clip you got.
Right, listen to this.
Are you Mr. Peterson?
Now, it wasn't quite as clear there, but I heard it before. Let me play this again, because you can't hear his answer.
Are you Mr. Peterson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I would have run out of the house.
Well, but we
Well, we don't hear it that night.
Yeah, the recorder picks it up. We usually don't know that something's responding to us. That's why we'll answer the same question 40 times a night sometimes. I mean, it's just over and over, hoping that at some point it's in the room and it answers you, if it's there.
So why do you think you don't hear it? I mean, why isn't it audible?
It's just on a different frequency. It's like dogs hear noises that we don't hear.
So how do you get it on tape? I mean, it records the sounds that we hear.
It records the sounds that we hear, but it also they're very sensitive. It records the things that you don't hear.
What do you record it on? I mean, is it just a typical...
It's a digital voice recorder.
Right.
We have a couple of different styles, and we set them up at the beginning of the night and then let them run the whole time. And then over the next 2 weeks after the investigation, we go back and listen to everything and review everything frame by frame and second by second. And I know the first time I heard an EVP, I was laying in bed with the lights off with the headphones on, and I sat up, turned on the light, looked around, we got up, and it's just this voice from nowhere.
I have always, no matter where I lived, whether where I was growing up in California or homes here in the Central West End, or where I live now in South City, there has always been something in the house. Mm-hmm. TVs going on and off with nobody in the room. Lights going on and off with nobody in the room. Drafts that are away from windows, cold spots in the room. This happens. I mean, the bedroom door last week, my wife was standing at the bottom of the steps. She looked upstairs, and the bedroom door closed. She's like, oh, John James, our 20-month-old. So the baby must have got into the room. So she goes up there to do it. He's still asleep in his crib. There wasn't anybody there. And this happens everywhere I've been.
Yeah.
And that's why we do it, to document things like that, to try to help people understand what's going on in their house. By documenting it, at least you can start to possibly find answers. You might not find any, but you can start finding at least ways to find answers. If you at least have proof it's happening and you take the steps to find out that it's not a gust of wind, it's not a loose hinge. You know, we take steps to try to find anything it could be and go from there.
What's on there? How many houses have you guys visited? I say houses because you only do people's residence, right? You don't
Primarily, not only, but it's usually people contact us, so it's usually homes.
So how many have you done, would you say?
Gosh, it's about every 2 weeks.
So how many
Maybe
houses?
20?
Yeah, I would say
Probably, because
between-
some of them will go 2 and 3 times to try. I mean, you find something and it's like, okay, now that we know we've got this, let's go see if we can find out why it's happening, or if we can recreate it or get it again and just try to find out more to what's going on.
So of the 20 homes, how many of them had something that was
All but two?
unexplainable?
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost
All but
all of
2.
them.
Yeah.
I would say 80% of what, maybe
Even
even
more.
closer to 90%.
And it's not even what they think always.
Right,
Like,
right.
we'll debunk their claims and then find other stuff.
Yeah. Is there a neighborhood that seems to be more of a hotbed for that?
No.
Well, we're pretty much
Yeah,
all
we're
over the
all over the
place. So
Yeah.
the city, I mean, you get, just because all the claims in the city, I mean, we visited a couple places in the city that were fairly haunted, so.
Yeah. And then, there's places like the Lemp Mansion and places that rely on tourism
Right.
because of these things, and
Right.
probably don't want you to come there and debunk it.
Exactly.
No thanks, don't do
Yeah.
that. I mean, not
I
just-
did go to the Lemp Mansion as a tourist, though, and I did catch some interesting pictures.
Yeah.
So, I definitely believe in it.
We went through with some ghost hunters and a psychic, and one of the guys in our group completely freaked out and ran out of the house because he had heard like a little girl in the bathroom or something like that. I didn't hear anything or see anything.
We have one of the most haunted homes that we've been to is in Lake St. Louis. It's clip number 4, but you can actually hear the footsteps. We're all downstairs in the lower level.
Well, me and Adam are upstairs, and you can hear us in the clip in the distance. We're on the complete opposite end of the floor. Everybody else is in the lower level, and you can hear me and Adam in the distance, so it's clearly that we are far away from what you're hearing.
All right, creepy. But you gotta wonder why a ghost would wear big shoes. You think they'd want to be comfortable and like have flip flops.
But we believe that from what we could tell, the thing that was there would have been from like the 1800s, a farmer. So probably just what he was used to.
St. Louis ghost hunters, paranormal investigators, in the studio with us in a big story on them in the Riverfront Times, which is what brought them to our attention. And they join us in the studio, and we'll come back and talk some more in a moment on KMOX.